Hi, this is Lauren Burke. Welcome to Kids Safe Divorce. And I'm going to be talking to you today about critical thinking skills. Now, you might not know why we're going to talk about that. Like, I have them, Lauren. Great. Uh-huh. Well, if you're in the midst of a not so pretty divorce with somebody who is potentially narcissistic or might have some tendencies to use your kids against you, you're going to need to help your children with critical thinking skills. This is the part where they can look at what dad is telling them and what you're telling them and figure it out for themselves. So the big pieces of this: can they compare what's already been said with what's being said now with what they know? And can your child remember that their thinking is separate from both you and dad's? Now, this is important in cases where you just have somebody trying to use the kids against you. It becomes even more important if you think there's alienation going on, because that means that someone on the other side is attempting to get your child to think of the adult's needs and wants as their own. So in alienation, you often have a child and an adult kind of melding on what they think of the other parent. So critical thinking skills are going to be so important for your child to avoid getting locked into struggles with parents, getting locked into the middle between you and their other parent, and also avoiding any kind of alienation. So how do you teach this? You sit there at the commercials and go, what do you think they're trying to sell you? What do they want you to think? What are they telling you you'll get if you buy that? Commercials are a really easy way to do this because they always have somebody trying to get you to do something, and they're persuasive. So the kind of critical thinking skills you need your kids to have are when someone else is being persuasive, so use the commercials, and then keep doing it. And then when somebody else at their school says something, oh, well, why do you think that person said that? How do we think of why? We think of it as, what does that other person want? What do they think they can get from this? What do they think that they can get from me? What do they need to convince me about myself or the situation to get that thing? Now, if you keep up with going over the commercials and going over their personal relationships at school, you don't even have to mention what dad tells them. You can talk about, promises made and promises kept. You can talk about what apologies mean. Apologies are actually a treaty. I agree that what I did hurt you, so I'm going to stop it. Any kind of training on what apologies mean, on what promises mean and why we keep them, and then critical thinking skills about, does this person mean it and what do they want from me? And then you don't even have to directly talk about what dad is telling your kids. You are preparing them for what dad might tell them. So critical thinking skills are a great practice with your children anyway, but in a divorce situation where you think someone else might try and alienate them or convince them of things that they really didn't come up with, your best bet is critical thinking skills. Little bit of a warning here. Please, God, do not tell kids that you know their dad came up with the idea. So if you've got especially a teenager and they are saying, I don't like you, do not go back to that with, I know this is your father talking. Oh boy, teenagers are at a stage when they really want to believe they came up with everything. It may or may not be true. You know it probably isn't in some cases. Don't go after them that way anyway. Use critical thinking skills instead. So what do you get if you convince me of that? Who stands to gain if you convince me of that? Use questions. Be gentle. Do not tell them you know it's their dad. Please, God, don't ever use the word brainwashing. I've never had a kid like it. They get so upset, and it pushes them further away from you. So when you're going to deal with children who are listening to the other side and then saying very negative things about you, or you're worried that this might happen, get in there with teaching them critical thinking skills, use them yourself, and even if they come at you with stuff that you know came from the other side, don't start there. Don't tell your kid, I know that's your dad. Oh boy, explosions, and now they're sure their dad's right, and you're bad. Don't do it. Back up, go, so you're saying you hate me. So reflect what that child says. You're saying you've always hated me. Strange that I don't remember that. I remember a lot of times when you didn't feel that way. They're not going to like hearing that. And then start asking questions. When did you start feeling this way? Always. You want me to believe that it was always. Start with the questions then about who stands to gain or benefit from you believing that. Do you stand to gain or benefit from believing that? Does someone else? Make them work for it. Hope this helps and it was informative. Please like and subscribe. We have more over on the website, kidsafedivorce.com. We look forward to having you come there. Thanks very much.